Hi everybody, this is Carlos Oñoro from Historias Rockeras. I just spoke with Mark-Jansen, the voice and main genius behind Epica. A long time ago, also creative force of After Forever, a band he shared with today's Nightwish singer, lead singer, Flu Jansen. Some years ago, he also founded Mayan, an alter project, which is also an amazing band, and a new project cooking as we speak, Universal Metal Minds. In a few days, after almost 5 years, Epica will release its new album Omega. And I know our main audience speaks Spanish, but I don't want to wait to publish its translated version in Spanish. And I wanna share with you what we had just hours ago. Then that way we practice a little bit and we hear direct the words of Mark. Maybe we, as I say, we practice a little bit. And with no further introduction, here's our interview with Mark-Jansen from Epica. Now that their album Omega is about to hit the stores and the platforms. Mark, it is a pleasure to have you here. I have to say, well, at least to my mind, you are a very interesting person with a wide vision of the world and life, exercising at the same time body and mind. The music and the lyrics of your band have taken us and your fans all through a path where you try to deal about cutting-edge reflections and some philosophy, even science, perhaps looking for an answer or communicating an answer. Sometimes people think it doesn't exist, you know. And something happened. Something has happened to all of us. And the first thing I would like to ask you is, how have you lived this pandemonium?
Yeah, that's a good question, Carlos. It's been a ride. It's been a ride, so to say. There's so many things happened, and so many things happened in a short time that people would have 1 year ago not even imagined possible. So, but I notice people get used to new situations pretty fast, and that has good things, good sides, but has also bad sides. Because I notice some people, they take whatever they tell them to do, they take it as taking an order. But yeah, we always have to think, I think, independent as well, when we feel like this is okay or this is not okay. And I notice sometimes people are like, okay, we cannot do anything about it. We let everything happen, and then everything is going to be all right. But yeah, it's a very interesting time, and like I said, I don't see it necessarily as a negative time or a positive time. I think it's a time of where we can see a lot of changes, and already many changes happened, and I think the next year many more changes will happen.
Oh, so you are informed, Mark. Mark,
no, it's not that I have a direct line with the president of the United States or something, but everybody who does his investigations can see something, sometimes the next step before it actually happens.
I see. Okay, in your personal space, in your mind, in your personality, how have you sensed this? What does it mean for you? Has it changed you?
Yeah, it's also with this, it's a very tricky time. So I noticed for myself that sometimes I was on the edge of suffering mentally from this situation. And then I thought I have to do something about it, because I'm a psychologist, and I also notice myself when I'm not doing well. And so I thought I have to change this. I don't want to get in this negative vibe of what's going around. So I started doing much more coldness adaptation training, and that really helps me a lot of staying happy. And I had no idea how this coldness adaptation training could be of such a big influence on me. But it's like when you drink a coffee, you feel like after the coffee you feel like 10 minutes happy. But if you do like a coldness adaptation training, then you expose yourself to extreme coldness. After that, you feel like 3 hours very happy. So for me, it's like a natural antidepressiva.
You mean the cold baths that you're showing?
Yes. It's really literally after you do it, you feel like on top of the world. You feel like amazing. You feel happy, and worries are going away. And because I'm very anti-medicines, I would never take, for example, antidepressiva. But when this situation has also an impact on me, I noticed that I was suffering from it also mentally. Not like that I'm getting crazy, but that I'm having sometimes a hard time. But when I do this coldness adaptation training and sports, I keep sporting a lot and making some music here and there, and then it's okay. But for sure that then this time I cannot see my friends often. I cannot see my parents. It's something that has a big impact on me and also many other people in the world. It has a big impact on basically everybody, and so it's very important to keep sane in a way with all these things that are going on.
Mark, do you think we and you and everybody else in this will get together in a big show, packed of people sweating, shouting for hours and singing perhaps Epica songs?
Yeah, I still think we will soon. Right? There's many people who have the hopes. Many people have the hopes that it will happen soon again. I don't think it's going to happen soon, but for sure we have to keep fighting for that these things will come back. Because you never know if these things come back automatically or that we have to fight for it. We don't know at this point. And I don't mean literally fighting like this, but that we have to make ourselves strong to make it happen. I mean,
you mentioned that you don't like medicines, or you prefer to use nature and the power of the body together with the nature and meditation. How about the vaccine? Would you take that shot for you?
Yeah, that's a very tricky one because I'm not necessarily anti-medicine, I must say. I had in the past, I was bitten by a tick and I got Lyme disease. And luckily I found out very quickly, the doctor found out, and I got antibiotics and we solved it very quickly. So I'm not anti-medicine in general. There's in some cases, there are some great medicines out there that can make that can make a huge difference. But nowadays, many people are every day on certain medicines, and that's not a good development. That's really sick almost. That people taking medicines for everything, and then there's a lot of side effects, and people have to take medicines for the side effects, and then you are in this circle of medicines or of chemicals, and that I'm against that. So that being said, the vaccine, there's a lot of pressure of taking this vaccine, and I must say, honestly, I don't like the pressure. So I feel uncomfortable with this pressure that they're putting out, that everybody has to take that vaccine in order to get a normal life again. Intuitively, I feel there's something weird about that huge pressure. It's for my feeling, there's more than just the COVID going on. But I just cannot get really the whole picture yet, but I have some weird sensations sometimes about it. So I'm not yet taking that vaccine to answer your question, and I want first more information. I want also to know the long-term effects, because there's nothing known about the long-term effects. And so to be honest, at this point I don't know yet.
Good. Okay. Having this background, this scenario that we have, it's been almost 5 years since you guys had a original or new material. Of course, you are always releasing stuff, music, experiments, but last time you released an album was almost 5 years ago, and Epica was used to do 2-3 years an album in my mind, in the history of the band, together with some other releases. Why? What happened?
What happened? It sounds like that something happened, but we didn't realize it was such a long time. So we had 2 EPs released and 1 book, and suddenly there was already 5 years in between. Also the album got a little bit postponed due to the pandemic, half a year. So in fact it would have been 4.5 years, but still then it turned out to be 5 years, and suddenly we realized that there was a bigger gap than usually, but there was not a specific reason for that. The only thing I can come up with is that we also took a little break at a certain point to recharge the batteries and be fully ready for this album.
Yeah, I also noticed, I don't know if this is my perspective, but I think your last cycle was bigger. You spend more time making shows. The band went places in the past you didn't, and you were growing in some markets, and you took some time live working. Is it the true or it's just my impressions?
That we tried some new markets?
That you grew and you had to spend more time doing shows to cover more spaces where you were required to play.
We explored some new territories, and we wanted to play some cities where we never played before, because sometimes you have to also, if you always go to the same cities, you can get into that kind of routine, and we want sometimes to also refresh ourselves with that we don't get too much of a routine, and that everything stays exciting. And so we tried some new cities, and the tour was longer than most other after most other albums. So that also made the time period longer indeed.
And you celebrated the anniversary of that great album, Design Your Universe. That was your last visit in Colombia in South America, right?
Yes. So that was also great to play these songs again after 10 years. It was a lot of fun, and at that point we had no idea yet how long it was gonna take before we could play a new show. So
did you have more time to compose music, to create, to settle the music for this album, or it was your normal creative process?
No, we did some things differently. We wrote the songs the same way that we always do, but at a certain point we got together and we started working on each other's songs. And that was like we rented a place in Netherlands where we all stayed for like 5 days, and we set up our home studios there, and then we started working from morning till evening on each other's tracks. And we took a lot of time to work on the final details this time, and even more than usually. We already always go far into detail, but this time even more. And we re-recorded all the tracks, also all the orchestra tracks with samples before we actually recorded the album for real. So we had already basically the whole album recorded before we actually recorded it again for real.
So you guys are microscopic in the detail, in the intricacies of the production. That's really nice, and you can hear it in the music. But anyway, that's something Epica is being developing. It's really intricate and it's deep. The details are deep. That's really nice.
Yes. It's really fun to explore and to try new things. And we always try to do things a little bit different than the previous time in order to see if we can improve certain ways of working. So it's always a never-ending learning story.
Right. That's so great. Mark, I noticed, I want to ask you, why Omega? Is it this the end or something like that? What is this Omega title? No,
it's not referring to the end, but it's referring to the Omega point theory, and that's a theory that states that we as universe are fated to swirl towards one point of unification. And I personally believe in the spiritual belief that we came from as a sort of unified point, and then here we have, in this universe, we experience some kind of duality, like being separate from each other. Well, actually we are all connected, being one, so to say. And in the end, when we also, then this universe goes back into this unification point. And that's I love that theory, and I really like to use this as starting point for many of the lyrics.
Wow, because I've been reading about it, and I thought, well, we couldn't talk before this, and I made some research, and I found this omega point, and it's by this Jesuit priest.
Yes.
From the, he died just almost 100 years. Pierre de la Chardin or something like that.
Yes.
Sorry, my French, I would say. And it's really nice. The idea is the sun or the energy grows, and the higher the energy, matter will think together or something like that. And at the end, there won't be like individuality. Everything will be together, something like that.
Yeah, because we experience here literally in this universe duality, and that's good because of duality. This universe experiencing itself. So it's the only way for the universe to be able, for consciousness, so to say, to experience itself. That is like to split yourself, and that's why I think every human being. We have so much in common with each other, but sometimes there's so much hatred. But actually what you hate often in somebody else is what you hate also in yourself. And that's also the part of the learning process. It's a very interesting process because everybody in the world has this dark side and this beautiful side. And it's a matter of what you feed most in yourself, what comes more to the surface. So if you feed more your darker side, you become a negative, depressed, hateful person. And when you feed the beautiful side, you become an empathic person, love, and people like to be around you. You're spreading good energies, and everybody can decide who is one to be. And coming back to this situation,
Feed
we are
the wolves.
Yeah, that's the freedom song. And when you bring it back to the situation we're living in now, it's a very challenging situation, but still we can decide who we want to be. We want to be a victim of the situation and feel like negative about it, or we want to turn it around and add something positive to it. Because there's shitty stuff going on, but we are in control. We can change it. We can make sure that after this is over, we are building a world where we truly want to live in, with each other, together, everybody together, where we finally make that step forward as humanity.
Mark, are you a religious man? I ask you this because, this theory comes from a Jesuit that wasn't. The church looked at him like, this guy is into something. But for example, the Benedict, the Pope Benedict, is a supporter of this theory, and I have to ask you, do you relate in that way religiously with this theory, or what is your reflection on this?
Yeah, I always say like I'm not necessarily religious in the way that I'm following a certain religion, but I believe in the all expanding consciousness, and some call that God, but some call it consciousness. There's many words for it, and when you call it God, people usually right away think that you are religious. But I see it as two separate things. I call it spiritual. I feel myself being a spiritual person with some connections to religions, but I'm a little bit allergic to what people have made out of religions. So they built like a company out of it, where people have to pay money in order to save their soul. This kind of things, I really have nothing with that. That's so far from what I stand for. But there's other things when for example, I'm always open-minded, so I also read things from the Bible. There's also beautiful stories in there. Yeah. So with everything, also old wisdom teachings, you can always find things that you feel connected with. And some things you think like, this is not ringing with me, that is not resonating with me. And so the things that I feel connected to, I absorb. And the things that I feel like this is not resonating with my heart, I keep away from me.
Yeah. You know, I am a fan of science fiction, and in my life, in the past, I read a couple of books. There's one book, Blood Music, from Gregory Bear. Blood Music tells this story about this bacteria that takes all the people and turn it into one single thing. And at the end of the book, the bacteria or whatever the entity was communicating with all the people. And the idea was that they were all together turning into one thing, one mind, And these times are really freaking about, reflecting on that. And there's another science fiction story, The Last Question, of Isaac Asimov. And there's one part of the story where he says, all bodies of all people separated from their minds. And the mind, they were in a physical place and their minds were somewhere else all together. And after that's the last question from Isaac Asimov. It's a short story. And when I read about this, because I didn't know about the omega point until I was preparing for this, I went like, this is something people know about since a long time. This is something that could be people like in the Matrix, for example, that Neo knew. Well, in the story, Neo knew about it, but he didn't know what it was. But people, the intuition is like there's something that tied us together. That we are more than one.
Yes, definitely. I agree on that. Intuitively, we know it. And but the mind, the ego tries to tell you it's not true. But intuitively, everybody feels it's true. And some people are more developed towards listening to their intuition than others. But everybody deep inside knows that we are all connected.
Wow, it's really nice to see all this in a piece of work like an album. And also, I want to ask. The colors, of course, bring me straight away to design your universe. Is that a sign? It's intentional, the colors, I mean, the palette you're using is so similar. And I went like, I had to ask Mark, what's that?
Yeah, it's not was not our intention, but I'm pretty sure that this album has the potential to become as fan favorite as Design Your Universe. So maybe if we look back 10 years from now, back to this album, and then we can say the fans love it the same way as their, in general, their favorite is like Design Universe, and also the Quantum Enigma is one of the favorites. And I think that the Omega will be in that line of that people are gonna really love this album. So if the artwork has some connection, that's nice.
Okay, I don't know if you want to spoil the meaning of the cover.
Yes, I can. What I can say is that there's a lot of details in the cover. So, but the basic ideas, and that people can also right away see, is the labyrinth. I always had the feeling that when we are born, we are like being born in a labyrinth, and then you're suddenly there, and you have to figure out where am I? What am I doing here? What is the purpose of this? And some people stay in one corner of the labyrinth their whole life, and that's fine. And other people start exploring, going in all directions, going through the maze, and finding, sometimes bumping in a wall, and then going back, and then finding that other hole, and then a new insight. And for me, that's what life is. We are here to grow and learn, and going through that labyrinth, and then hopefully at a certain point we find that middle part of the labyrinth, which is like that big step forward for our consciousness, what we are looking for.
Do you think politicians will achieve that level?
Yeah, this politics is always a nasty kind of thing. It's a necessary,
let's keep it
necessary evil. But there's also good politicians. Like everybody, there's everybody. Also in politicians, they have also the good, the white wolf and the black wolf. But some of them, they are so drawn in that swamp of politics that they're lost themselves a bit. But I also hope that many politicians will find their white wolf and start doing what's really right for humanity.
You know, now that you mentioned, I have seen before white wolves turning into black wolves or dark wolves when they get there. I want to see one dark one turning into a white one when he gets there.
Yeah, yeah, that's everything is possible. I've seen also people with great energies suddenly turning slowly into darker side, and also the other way around. Everything is possible, but at every moment of the day we have the choice who we want to be. Nice.
Mark, this album I have listened in my walks all these days. I sense a grooviness in this album that I think it's something new that you guys have. Of course, the first single, Abyss of Time, Countdown to Singularity, I would say it's one of the favorites. Can you tell us about this song?
Yeah, this song is really funny how it came to be, because I was working with a guy, Jerome is his name, on United Metal Minds, and one of the songs we wrote together, I said this actually would be a great Epica song instead of that we use it for United Metal Minds. And I told him, "Are you okay that I introduce this song to the band, and then we can see what we can do with it?" And he said, "Yeah, it would be a big honor if you use that song for Epica." Then I introduced it to the band. We started working on it with Epica, so then we gave it the typical Epica touch when everybody works on it. But the origin of this song is when I worked with him for United Metal Minds, and that I thought this would be actually fitting for Epica really well. And the good thing is when you work with somebody that you are not used to work with, he pulls you out of your comfort zone and you try to do new things. And that's what happened when I worked with him. He made me come up with new ideas, and he also came up with great ideas, and then we mingled them together, and it started to become Abyss of Time.
So great. There's a phrase there: replace your darkest emotions.
It's 1 o'clock.
Pure divinity.
Yeah.
You know, you're a metal band, and your voice is strong, and you have so much. Also, of course, melody and orchestra, but heavy stuff. And this is a message here that it could think many dark souls out there, right? Metalheads, to put it some way, huh?
Yeah, but there's a message for everybody in it, and also with this, I would say, read it, and what resonates with you, use it, and what doesn't, put it away, and start your own journey of wisdom. Everybody can start their own journey of wisdom, and that's also why we never write lyrics in the way like this is the truth and this is not true, because everybody is a unique observer, and for everybody the universe has a unique point of observation, and for everybody things are slightly different. So there is no absolute one truth even possible.
Nice. And I have to ask, what is that costume that Simone has? I have before you answer, everybody was joking at me because I said that's DNA. But everybody was like talking to me like, come on, man, what is it?
Yeah, it was not intentionally, but it looks to me also like DNA. Yes.
But there's a meaning of that costume.
I don't know if it was intentionally, but it works really well with the story of the album, and DNA is one of the basics of humanity. Also, and we're talking about the basics of the universe and the Omega point theory. So all in all, it would fit really well.
Mark, thank you so much for being here, and
thank you too.
Continue to be continued.
Yes, definitely. Cheers, Carlos. Bye.
Okay, friends, we had only so little time with Mark, and for sure we expect to be meeting Mark in the future for more about this album. I hope you like this one. Soon we will make the translation available in Spanish for you all. This is Carlos Oñoro, today presenting Mark-Jansen from Epica, just few days before the release of their 8th album, Omega, under Nuclear Blast Records, and everywhere next 26th of February here at Historias Rockeras.